Hey guys, Jason here with another Dashboard Confessional, and I wanted to address a recent tweet that I made that was talking about clapping for Jesus. Because it seems that some people have either taken it out of context or didn't get the original spirit, ironically enough, of what the tweet was meant about. Trying to get as close as possible of what I was saying was urging worship leaders to not ask for a clap for Jesus in between songs, and going further to say that when you do that, you take the focus. Not asking for a clap for Jesus in order to revive a dead congregation, because when you do that, all you're doing is taking the attention and putting it on a clap and not for God. So stop doing it. Now, the problem with that is that some people have taken this to mean that I've said, don't clap in a service, which I didn't say. Or to say, when you clap, you're not clapping for God, you're only clapping because you're clapping, which, again, I didn't say. So I want to take a minute and just kind of clarify a few things. Number one, I think that there's plenty of instances where we clap in celebration for what God has done and what God is doing in our worship services. When I'm pastoring through worship, oftentimes I'll explain, especially to those who come into a service, why we're doing certain things the way that we're doing. You know, why are we lifting our hands in worship? And I'll explain in a way that maybe hopefully people can understand, to say, you know, it's not too uncommon and not too far-fetched for us to realize why we do things like this. Because if I'm watching a football game and my team scores, you know, I'm going to raise my hands in victory and go, yes! And a lot of times our offering of worship is the same way, of just going, yes, of realizing what you know, God has done. If we're talking about, you know, singing overcome and just realizing that He's overcome, and it's just a yes moment. You know, so there's that type of raising of hands, and yes, at the same time, there's you know, there's those moments where you just want to go yay and clap, and there's those same types of clapping. So, you know, clapping definitely exists. There's moments in Isaiah where there's verbiage that talks about the mountains, the mountains and all nature, and the trees that clap before God in His majesty. And I've even talked about that before. Leading a song like, for instance, Fees Rise and Sing. It's a great song. It starts out with a driving beat that just encourages a call to worship, and I'll stand there before we get ready to sing, and I'll start clapping my hands, and I may even say that, you know, that Isaiah tells us that even the trees stand together, they clap in the majesty of God's name. So let's, you know, if the trees can clap, I think, why don't we do that? Why don't we stand before God in His majesty and clap before His name? And so we'll sit there and clap. So all that being said, we can clap in His name, we can clap because of His name, and we can give Him a clap, and we can clap in response to what He's doing. So why did I say that about not giving a God clap in between songs? Well, because the intent of what I was talking about was something entirely different. The intent was filler. Because all too often, we tend to forget that we are not the Holy Spirit. And we try to be the Holy Spirit and fill this place. And the Holy Spirit is what fills this place. So when we look out into a crowd and we see that, man, they're dead, and we decide to do something to fill it up, and we have our congregation clap. Now I want you to stay with me for a minute, because when we do this, a lot of times what you hear is, let's give a clap for Jesus, let's give a clap for God, and then everyone's clapping. And what I'm saying is that in that time, for more people than not, what's happening is the focus and the attention is on clapping. It's either on I've got to clap, otherwise I look bad. And you can say all day that, well, their attention shouldn't be there, but you brought the attention there. Truly, honestly, you brought the attention there because you've told them they're clapping for God. Not that they're clapping, but they're clapping for God. But if you're wanting someone to clap, and that's what you're wanting to do to revive a dead congregation, because right now it's dead, and well, I just want to get someone on Twitter to ask, well, how do you wake them up then? What do you do then? Because they're dead, and you want to wake them up. Well, if you want to wake them up and you want to do that by having them to clap, then if you're going into a fast song, then start them off by clapping, and tell them that in Isaiah that the trees clap before God. Why don't we clap? It'll do good to get our blood flowing. But there's a difference in that and just acting as if, well, that sounds good, let's clap for God. Because then it's not authentic. Now, here's the difference too. You may hear me saying something, if there's a song, a special, a solo, whatever you want to call it, and then people are clapping and cheering, you may hear me open up and say and speak into that, let's give God that glory, because I want to make especially sure that there's not a bit of that honor and glory that's being bestowed on myself. That no one's looking at me going, wow, that was great singing. That was, I want to make sure that every bit of that is going directly where it needs to be. So I want you guys to understand with love where I come from whenever I say the things that I say in Twitter. And if you ever have questions, man, I'd love for you just to ask me, reach out on Twitter, and I'd be happy to tell you what's going on in my thought process for things. If you ever have questions that you want to have answered to as well, you know that I'll always do so here in the answer bag, and you can reach out to me there at jason@WeLeadWorship.net. I've always got plenty of time in my commute to back and forth to Nashville. As you can see, I just had to dive off-road because sometimes I have more time than not, because traffic is wonderful here in Nashville. It's so bad that you should want to pull your hair out. Until next time, God bless.